thoughts that I have about tonight's meeting because it's been a phenomenal meeting. Just a couple observations, starting from the very beginning of the meeting, is I felt we had so much energy with our song led by Lester and Darren and Shannon. And I was actually, prior to starting the singing, I was looking around thinking, I don't think we have quite as many people tonight. I wonder if more people are going to show up. And then we started singing and it was just booming. And I felt like it's always such an awesome way to start our meetings and such a special part of TGIF. And so I'm just grateful for Lester's leadership in that and for everyone just really engaging in it. And it's a really special part of what we do, what we get to do together. A couple of sort of small things I noticed. One is that there was some checking out with the projectors before the meeting, making sure they were ready. It's an important part of preparing to make sure our meeting goes smoothly. On the other hand, the projectors were left on during, I think, at least one speech where it was not required, and that's a little distracting. So I think just paying close attention to things like projection and when it should be on and when it should be off. Also, just a reminder to not use acronyms without spelling them out for new people. So TME, make sure that everyone knows who the TME is, what that means, Toastmaster of the Evening. I love that you added tonight the introduction of the receptionist. I don't think that the Toastmaster of the Evening always introduces the receptionist, so it's a really important role. It's the first smiling face that you see when you walk in, so it's good to be introduced to Patty tonight. And then this is something actually Shannon has brought up before, and I was noticing again tonight, and so I thought I'll talk about this again because I think it sort of rolls throughout our meetings, is when we pass off the microphone to the next speaker or back to the session leader, a lot of times people will say, I'm going to give my control to, or give control over to, and Shannon pointed this out, and I think it's so right, is it's a little bit of an awkward thing to say, because we're not really giving control. I mean, I guess we're giving control of the mic, so maybe you could say it that way, but really there's a lot of, I think, more correct or better sounding ways to pass over the mic. So you could say, I'm going to hand the mic back to, please welcome back on stage the Toastmaster of the Evening, back to you, Queenie. So there's a lot of different things you say. So I just encourage you, if you have the mic, try to think of something other than give my control to when you pass it back to someone. And then tonight we had 3 excellent speakers. Okay, so we had Danielle, Shannon, and Jalmu. And as I was thinking about what each of them talked about tonight, the word that keeps coming to my mind is acceptance. And this is such an important and amazing part of Toastmasters. I think Toastmasters is a place where people get to discover, so in line with our theme, discover that they are accepted for who they are. I mean, this is a very diverse group of people. I think it's a group of people who wouldn't necessarily come together and just hang out and have a party and have fun because they have all the same interests or similar backgrounds. This is a really unique group of people, and I think the way that we do Toastmasters, and from my observation, the way that this club is run in particular, is done in a way that people get to experience what it means to be accepted for who they are. It also is a place, and it gives opportunity to learn to accept ourselves. So Danielle talked about that in her speech, and I think from Douglas's phenomenal mentorship, is that she's been in this process of learning to accept herself. And that goes beyond just becoming a better public speaker, right? That's part of an important part of your life, you know? And Jalun too, you talked about, facing 2 huge fears, the fear of failure and the fear of opening yourself up. And I totally relate to both of those things. I think probably a lot of people in this room do. And when you talk about learning to open yourself up, and then in that process, being able to better accept who you are, that's an amazing part of self-discovery and growth. And Toastmasters facilitates that. And I think it's Toastmasters facilitating it, but it's also what we each bring to it that gives us the chance to be accepted by this group of people and to learn to accept ourselves by going deep and digging in and being vulnerable. We learn how to accept ourselves, but we also experience from this group of people. Douglas, you said this in your evaluation, you know, Jolene, people like you even more because they've seen more of who you are. And so that's just what has stood out to me tonight about this meeting, is that I think we've learned a lot, or we've heard a lot about acceptance, and it's what I love about Toastmasters, is that we get to come to a place where we're accepted for who we are by people we don't necessarily know that well, and we wouldn't necessarily hang out with if we chose to go anywhere else besides to this club. And I think we learn to accept ourselves, and that's how we grow as speakers, as leaders, and as people. And so I'm thankful for this club and the way that we facilitate that together and for one another. So those are my thoughts about this meeting. I'd like to welcome back up the Toastmaster of the evening. So,